Says reading. You see me there? Hi, world. We are just still figuring out a little bit of technology here, so please be a little patient. We're live and streaming, so this is all brand new for me, and we're even going to have train horns because, you know, how exciting. And so, to anyone who's on, and I don't know off the top of my head who is, thank you for coming today. What you are coming to is what I'm hoping will be the launch of the start of something that I've been feeling coming for an awfully long time. So I'm hoping today to launch a feeling or a way of being or a practice or a something that I'm hoping is going to spread around the world. So my name is Tara Sue Moore, and most of you watching today, if anyone comes on today, but who knows who'll see this down the road, most of you know me already. I'm a Cochrane, Alberta, Canada resident. I'm a mother of 3. I have a background of 20 years in the financial world, and then for the last 20, I've also been deeply exploring all of the fascinating world of transformational change, be that journeying, consciousness journeying, remote viewing, emotional coherence, energy work, crystals. I can go on and on. But the long and short of it is, those are 2 pretty polarized worlds. My sort of moniker is from stockbroker to firewalker, and both of those I have and legitimately own those titles. So what I'm here to do today is to introduce what I'm hoping may become a little bit of a way of being, because at the current moment, I'm sitting here in a country that appears to be leading a fascinating movement for freedom, and I'm watching it go around the world. But for me, I'm struggling because what I'm also experiencing is more and more polarization. And all of my personal life experience in combination with all my teachings and learnings tell me that when we are decision making and we are polarized, we are not able to see good solutions from that place. I do believe that everyone around the world, not to mention everyone here, whatever side and whatever you're feeling and whatever your personal beliefs are, I do believe that most of us in human bodies here are really benign, and if given an option and if we know how to do it, that we will all do something that is not only in our own best interest, but also takes care of humanity. I believe that that will be our choice when we're given it. So I'm hoping today to launch what I'm hoping will become a movement. It's going to be under the hashtag Find It, Feel It, Free It. Find it, feel it, free it. And what do I mean by that? I mean that currently the feelings that I have been experiencing within myself and those around me is not my optimal feelings. So on one hand, right now in Canada, and I'm watching it spread around the world, and it's a nice feeling. I like feeling it, but I'm watching almost a religious like fervor as this convoy for freedom goes further. It's on fire. It's enlightening. It's moving. It's actually a fantastic feeling. But for me, that's not a feeling of freedom. That's a feeling of being swept up in a big fire or a tidal wave. Exciting. Fantastic feeling to get opportunities to feel. But it's not freedom. Another feeling that I personally feel often is what I will call righteous, sort of righteous judgment or righteous wisdom. So I'm a rule follower. I'm seeing a lot of that too. I will work very hard to always try to see both sides, but when I'm in the emotion of righteousness, I'm forcing myself to see both sides. And really what I'm feeling inside is this rigid, it's not fair, why not me feeling. And that is not freedom either. It might be safe for me, but it's not freedom. So again, I'm Tara Sue Moore, and for anyone coming on, we're here today introducing and launching what I'm hoping people are going to pick up around the world. Find it, feel it, free it. So a little more background. I believe that the current way we live is not working and not sustainable. If we are not able to figure out a different way to be, and maybe not in my lifetime, but within a trajectory I can see coming, I don't believe there's going to be room on this planet for humans, and or humans are no longer going to be capable of even still staying alive and living and flourishing on this planet. And whatever new world or new arrangement or new agreements come out of what's going on right now, it is going to impact myself, my children, and everyone else on this planet for the rest of our lives and beyond. It's going to impact the future of this planet. And I personally think that whatever arrangements come out of what's going on here in Canada or around the world, we have a far better chance of them being something we can all live in and thrive in and flourish in, not just the humans, everything else on this planet, if it can come out of what I call a coherent space of connection, a space of compassion, a space of care, a space of appreciation, not out of some sort of a confrontational, aggressive feeling space, which is what we have right now. So that is my core belief, and that is the goal of this, is to start to do what all of us can to create that coherent space, that space in which we can all learn to communicate, that space in which maybe our leaders and those of us who are standing up and being seen and protesting, that maybe we can all learn to communicate and create from that space. So transitioning a bit, and I can give you a lot of science on this, and over the next few weeks, we'll work to do that. But right now, I'm just asking for your trust. I believe that we can use our own feelings to help create that best chance of any new agreements, new ways of being that get agreed to over the next while to come out of our own collective feeling of freedom. And I believe that we can do that without having to go or do anything more than learn how to feel our own feeling of freedom. So I'm not here to try and have you feel my feeling of freedom. I'm here to help you learn how to feel your feeling of freedom and then spread that to the world while I feel my feeling of freedom. So how could this magic work? Well, point one, and peer-reviewed science has given us the background on this over the last 30 years. This is not new. Emotions are the fuel that create the motivation for change, and they also create the environment from which we change and grow from. So I'm going to repeat that again. Another way of saying it is you see the world through how you feel. Your emotional state is going to dictate how you interact with anything around you. Point one. Point two, emotions can be naturally created and in the moment. That's what most of us are used to. But emotions can also be created through meditation or through memory or through imagination. So what I'm meaning by that is you have that innate way where you're just feeling something, but you also can learn how to meditate and shift your body into that feeling without the outside world inviting you to do it. You also can experience a meditation when you remember something that has happened that has naturally put you into that feeling. Truly, people find this experience more often when they're remembering negative things, but it works just as well to remember positive things. And for those of us who have a rich enough imagination, if your emotional body can attach to your imagination, then you can just imagine a feeling and feel it. I can't actually do that, to be very honest, but many can. Point three. The way your current emotional state causes your body to work will be a huge factor in your ability to create coherence. So coherence, loosely defined, is when your mind center, your thinking head center that we all like to use a lot, your feeling body center, and your heart center are all communicating. Coherence is not when your gut is saying do one thing, your brain is saying do another. You're in a really quite rigid battle back and forth of which do you do, and who knows where your heart even is in that. I think everyone will have an idea what that feels like. I know in my body, it feels awful. So then sometimes I'll try to just solve things with my mind, or I'll try to just solve it with my body, go do something. But where the magic happens is when we work with all three. And the heart turns out to be the best central commander. So the heart is the one that is wired to be able to receive the information from the other inputs and then send it out into the world. So my campaign has a couple stages and steps here. Over the next little while, I'm going to start to share how I create coherence in my body, and I'm going to be very upfront. There's lots of other ways. So if you already know how to get your head and your body connected with your heart running the show, you don't have to use my ways, use your ways. The key is getting connected and creating coherence. The second key, and this is the HeartMath work that I facilitate, is where it's coming from, but it's in peer-reviewed journals. Certain emotions will create coherence in our body. What emotion creates coherence in your body will not be the same emotion as creates it in mine. But in most of us, emotions like compassion, care, connection to life, hope, trust, appreciation, gratitude, those are coherence creators in most of us. So that's what I'm going to generally lead you towards. And so what we're going to learn to do is we're going to learn how to create that emotion inside of us, and then how to share it with the rest of the world. And if we are able to create this coherent space within us, and then radiate our coherence out, there's something really magical that happens between my heart and everyone else's heart and everyone else's. Because it turns out that when everyone walks into a room, all our hearts start talking, whether we mean for them to start talking or not. And it turns out that our hearts will actually start to sync our bodies into feeling the same way as the overall feeling in the room. So if we can create a coherent heart space, or where I'm going is if we can create a strong enough feeling of our freedom, no one needs to know the story, that's ours. But the feeling of freedom, and we can radiate our feeling of freedom. And if enough of us can start doing this and learn how to do this, we can do this around the world. And what we can do by finding our own way of feeling free, using that feeling of freedom to create that coherence and connection in our body, and then radiating out our personal feeling of freedom, we're going to end up creating a community, a family, a community, a country, a world that actually has a collective coherent space of freedom that we have all contributed to. And whatever agreements come out of that collective feeling of freedom, I'm going to bet that there is a much higher probability that that's going to create a world that all of us are going to be able to thrive in and feel free than what's going to come out of the polarization we're dealing with now. So my friends, to anyone who ends up listening to this, I invite you to join in and try and help. So The key is, first you need to find your own way of feeling free, what your own memory is. And I'm going to walk you through an example. Then over the next few days, I'm going to do this again and again. And then we're going to feel your feeling of freedom. And then we're going to radiate it out and just let it go. So I'm actually going to guide it today. And for me, one of my most amazing feelings of freedom is when I just know that humanity wins the day. And so examples of that are those poignant moments in movies, you know, those big epic moments where everything builds and you don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes it's some, you know, really tragic scene. Well, that's not my freedom. Sometimes it's some huge battle. That's not my freedom. Sometimes it's even some huge victory that feels like freedom. But the movie doesn't have to deal with all the people who aren't on the side of the victor. That's not my freedom. But my freedom is those moments in those movies when two parties that are supposedly on different sides or don't know each other or don't trust each other, those moments when those two parties suddenly connect, usually it's through the eyes, and one or the other are both in that moment, make the decision to trust the other or to save the other. You know, picture that one person about to fall, and it's from the family of your arch enemy. But in that moment, you don't think of any of the consequences. You simply reach out the branch, and that moment of the person grasping it. And in that moment, nothing else matters. That for me is my feeling of freedom. So I invite you all to join me for just a moment in remembering something that makes you feel free. And if nothing's coming to mind, think of a movie moment where that feeling of humanity prevailing came through. And just hold that in your mind. I'm actually just going to play my deep sun bowl here to ground me. That tone drops me in. So with your feeling or your plan in your mind, now I want you to actually take one hand and I want you to put it on your heart and one on your belly. And I want you to start breathing, seeing, sensing, feeling, and imagining that each time you breathe in, your breath goes all the way in, through your heart space, down to your belly, and back out. Your belly's probably going to start moving. In and out. In and out. And now I invite you to start slowing down your out breath. In slowly and out. In and out slowly. Eventually, we're looking to have our out breath take about twice the length of our in breath. I can feel in me my body returning to coherence. I know what that looks like. I can teach that over the next period of time. In and out. Now, without changing your breathing pattern, in your mind's eye, simply see, sense, feel, and imagine that feeling you're looking for, that feeling of freedom, and here you're welcome to try on mine. Close your eyes if that helps. Do anything you can to feel the feeling within your body as you're breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And now, from this place where you are feeling this, simply with your breath, all you need to do is breathe this feeling through your heart. And then set the intention that your heart will radiate this feeling out, and the invitation for anyone else whose body wants to feel it to feel it. So find your feeling of freedom. Mine's the olive branch, the moment when humanity triumphs all distant differences. Feel your feeling of freedom in your body. And using your breath to connect, radiate your feeling of freedom out to everyone else. You can see the spiral in my mind's eye, the spiral of life, if you will. I can talk more about that also, but I'm not going to do it now. To anyone still here with me, and to everyone who listens to this down the road, thank you for coming on and thank you for playing. I invite you to play with this. I invite you to watch for it. My personal intention at this moment is to repeat a small broadcast like this at 11:11, 1:11, 3:11, 5:11 Mountain Standard Time over the next week while I'm still in my amazing crystal cavern here. My invite to anyone out there, because as of a couple days ago, I can bring you guys in here without having to worry about capacity restrictions. Okay. We do still have to fall in line with other pieces, but if anyone would like to come in and participate in person, the invite is out there. The invite's definitely out there to people to come and participate online. Because I personally believe that if enough of us can learn how to create this coherent space of connection, that we can, with doing nothing more than that, influence and shift and change the future of life on this planet. Until we meet again. I am Tara Sue Moore.